Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Cheaper by the Dozen. This is a 2022 remake starring Zach Braff and Gabrielle Union. It's an hour and 49 minutes long, and this is the last one of the slew of content that's being ripped away from Disney Plus for financial reasons, for whatever other reasons. There might be, I don't know, just the reasons. I mean, Disney Plus, as I've said in the previous episodes that I've done over the last week or so, Disney takes stuff away all the time. First two X-Men movies, gone. Yeah, you can't get them right now. They'll be back in 2024 more than likely. It's all contract things. If you want to see them, go to Stars. If you want to go beyond that, well, you can watch them here on Disney Plus until they go away and cycle in and out and everything else. Because when you buy up a whole bunch of different other studios, sometimes the rules change and sometimes the rules cause you to have to make deals with other companies who are willing to pay money to have certain content on their streaming services or channels or whatever it is. And you do it where it makes money. If people aren't coming after your X-Men movies big time, well, you know what? Lend them out for a few months. That's what you do. Anyway, in this case, Disney got rid of by the time you watch this, you can't watch this. By the time you watch this video, a bunch of stuff was wiped away on May 26th. I'm in the process right now as I film this is May 25th, and I have up until midnight, which is a little more than 2 hours away, to film as much as I can before the deadline. And I'll come back to that in a minute. But let's talk about the movie first. This, obviously, if you know the Cheaper by the Dozen series of films, there might have been only two, I think. Steve Martin as the main character is the dad, a house full of a dozen kids, or maybe it counts the parents. I'm not sure, but either way, it's a lot of kids. And in this case, it is a very modern update. It's multiracial family. It's multi-family. It's almost a Brady Bunch situation in some ways, but with exes hanging around, causing either being helpful at the same time as being not so helpful. There's a little bit of jealousy and everything else that goes back and forth, as sometimes happens with parents who remarry. And also when it comes to sort of taking responsibility for the kids or thinking one person knows better than another on how to raise them, especially, there's that tension because, do you think you know how to raise my kids better than I do? Well, yeah. Or, hey, isn't it great you get to raise my kids and I don't have to deal with it? There's that. There's all different types of parents out there. In this case, we have Zach Braff and Gabrielle Union, and we get to see their story at the very beginning, how they married and had kids separately with other partners, and then eventually got divorced through different means, other chapters in their lives. Chapters closed. It was a very nice way of putting that. Hardly any tension or anything else, as some divorced couples can be with children, but in this case, everything's pleasant. Zach and Gabrielle, by the way, Zach plays Paul Baker, and Gabrielle Union plays Zoe Baker. Married names. And they bring children from both their families, and they had adopted, and then when they got together, they had two sets of twins. So it's just a hodgepodge of children. Again, white, black, mixed. One's in a wheelchair, and there's all sorts of different needs for all the kids. So much so that this feels like it was meant to be a TV series. It might have been. I didn't check to see if anybody said so, but yeah, this feels like 3 episodes of a TV series edited into a movie with a neat little resolution at the end that sort of tells you where everybody eventually went. Again, it very well might have been, because yeah, it wraps up neatly, pretty quickly. This kind of would have fit in the universe of Blackish and Grownish and things like that, but because there's a lot of social issues dealt with, mentioned, referenced at different degrees, especially when it comes to Gabrielle Union's character as she, as a family moves from their smaller Echo Park place, which honestly, if you have a house in Echo Park, that's a multi-million-dollar house that's in LA. And then you move to Calabasas because your company takes off and it's in a McMansion, big kind of deal thing with a lot more room for all the children and everybody else. And that's a lot of sauce money. Paul makes sauces that are sweet, savory, and spicy. I don't know, depending on what you put it on. It's a miracle of sauce. Yeah, they get to they're most of the film is them trying to fit in with the new community, and every once in a while reminding people that, well, hey, mom isn't the nanny when she meets up with the other moms. Oh, and children, no matter how innocent and well-meaning they are, if they take toy guns outside, well, guess what? They could be mistaken for killers, even if they are 10, or less. So there's these little lessons thrown in and out, thrown here and there throughout the thing, that some people might find a little obnoxious, and they are kind of shoehorned in there, but it's no less relevant in how they're told. And if this was a sitcom and maybe the focus of the episodes would touch on these kind of aspects, I can understand that it would fit better. In the fact that this is almost barely a 2-hour film, it just seems like shoehorned in there in the greater story arcs. What Zoe has dealt with in the past with her previous marriage, being married to a basketball star who is wealthy and spent all this time away from her and the family, to the point where they just had to separate because he wasn't really putting in the time. But she's feeling this now with Paul, who wants their sauce company. They have a breakfast restaurant in LA that serves breakfast all day, and it's very popular. And some people come along with wanting to invest, and he also makes these sauces that are great. And with an initial investment, they're able to move out, and that's what happens. And more as they get bigger and bigger, guess what? The people who invest think of franchising, and it pulls Paul away from the family to a degree that may leave Zoe in charge of all of these children and all their different issues and problems. And and then they also bring in Paul's sister's kid when his sister has to go to rehab. So again, you can almost see the individual episode arcs. So I don't know if there are other episodes that just never made it. Like they did a pilot, and maybe they were approved for so many episodes, and then they just sort of dumped it into a movie. Like they didn't get picked up, and they're just like, okay, let's just take 3 episodes, turn them into a movie. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I could be wrong. But they deal with an awful lot in an hour and a half, an hour and 49 minutes. There's a star basketball daughter who, when they move, goes to another school, and she doesn't get to play as much, and so she's being scouted by USC, but she doesn't get to play as much because her parents didn't donate to the gymnasium. They weren't rich enough to donate a wing of the school, and other girls get to play. The kid that they bring in, the dozenth kid that they bring into the family, whose mom is in rehab, he's had a rough life, and he may not he may or may not be stealing from the family. He may or may not be having problems. Another kid that he's forced to bunk with is, I think he was adopted at one point from Paul's first marriage, and he is, I believe, Indian or Pakistani, and he gets bullied. And then there's another kid who is nerdy and loves Legos and superheroes and everything else, but his cool dad, his real father, the basketball player, doesn't really understand that, but he gets along with Paul better, Zach Braff, who exudes his normal Scrubs level of nerdiness and self-deprecating humor throughout. It's his forte. He brings it to his commercial he did with Donald Faison, his co-star at Scrubs, and John Travolta at the Super Bowl commercial they did last winter for T-Mobile, I guess. I don't know, something like that. So yeah, he is in his full Zach Braffiness. And then we have the girl, the daughter who's in a wheelchair. She has a band, but we don't see that until like the end credits thing. And she's got a edge to her. She's kind of mean, but she's likable. But her storyline is completely non-existent. Also, the same thing with the other girl who's like just wants to be an influencer on social media. There's some kids who just get lost in the middle, and the little cute twins, both sets of twins, of course, just show up to say adorable lines and be cute, and that gets laughs. So there's no laugh track, just to be sure, just to be clear. It's not actually a sitcom. It's a movie. There are big dramatic parts. There's big laugh parts. Again, what you would normally expect from a cheaper by the dozen movie. Was it necessary to make? No. Was it done perfectly? No. But you might get a kick out of it. It's a very modern take on this. There's social issues abound, especially when you're dealing with a multiracial family. So yeah, it's to be expected. I'm trying to think of who else shows up in this that you might recognize. Again, the cast is mainly children. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna, I could go through this whole thing, but yeah. So yeah, this is the last of the episodes that have already gone from Disney Plus. So if you really wanted to see this, you can't watch it on Disney Plus now. Sorry. But if you want it back, tell them bring it back, or tell them to put it on a medium that you can purchase and own yourself, a disc, download from Disney Shop, or whatever the legal means of acquiring this film, or the other ones that I've talked about over the last week or so. We should, by the way, the things I talked about were The Making of Willow, Just Beyond, The One and Only Ivan, Hollywood Stargirl, Magic Camp, and that was and the Harmonious Live Concert. Those are the ones that I watched. The ones that I didn't were basically National Geographic documentaries, which I guess you could probably watch online through National Geographic website or YouTube or other places like that. Among the Stars, Own the Room, Shop Class, More Than Robots, Weird But True, America the Beautiful.Ose are the ones I just did not have time to do because there's 2 hours left before they're taken off. Unless I'm wrong and they only take them off at midnight on the evening of the 26th into the 27th. I don't know. At this point, I am too exhausted to care. But the other things I chose were movies, stories that I wanted to see myself, I wanted to see, and some I just sort of built in. Along with, we did Indiana Jones, and we did, what was the other thing Return of the Jedi, on the 25th, which is today, when I'm filming this. Those were all done pretty much nonstop, back to back, 3-4 a day. If you want to see these things, tell Disney you want them back. And maybe it will come back on their own. I have no idea. But the National Geographic ones, they are not getting rid of any shark ones. There are still 30 plus that we have not seen yet on Disney Plus. all really weirdly punny shark title shark documentaries. Sharks are great, but maybe not every single shark thing all at once. I don't know. And watch, we're going to go back to randomly picking because tomorrow is our 1300th episode. 1,300 episodes of Disney plus Everyday Challenge. And we're going to pick it now. This is what normally happens. Rather than me picking these things before they all go away to talk about things that you cannot watch now, this is what happens when we randomly pick a number.
82.
82. Could be louder. I don't know why you're so quiet. 82. Come on. 82. 82. Oh, wow. This is not exactly an upbeat episode, but we're going to watch it for our 13th episode. It's a documentary, and this could be rough. We'll see. Because I do remember when this happened. This is a bit of a piece of history, and it's not shark related, so that's a plus. We're going to be watching Challenger Disaster Lost Tapes. You know, that exists. That's on Disney Plus. Unless it's not, by the time I watch it, I'll check right after I'm done here. And if it turns out that that also is disappearing and I don't know, well, we'll pick another one. Challenger Disaster Lost Tapes is what we're watching next on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. 1,300 episodes. See you then.